that's my recommendation to you is if you're going to be a contractor, just do great work, charge the proper amount. Remember that you have value, right? Don't do it just for wages. You deserve to be paid for your time on the roof, and you also deserve to get paid for your time as the CEO and president, which you are, even if you have only one or two guys, while you're at home and putting the bids together and all this sort of stuff. So that's the best information that I can give to a guy that might want to start in his own.
Going back to the start, you got 4 years experience, barely out of high school. You've been on a few roofs. Where do you even start from a business generation, standpoint? I mean, you got to have jobs and you got to have money coming in the door, but I mean, where do you even start with that, and what does that process look like for you?
Well, like a lot of guys in the trades, you are always doing side work, right? So I kind of started parlaying my side work into jobs. It got into, I kind of remember, you're bringing back memories, but it was a local referral program in my local city. Joined it for a few bucks, and then literally hustled. I mean, if there was days that I had no work, I got into my truck and I drove around town and I looked for a job that was being built. I drove up to the general. I said, "Hey, can I give you an estimate on your job?" So, literally, you know, if you gotta pay the bills, you just do what's necessary, right?
And everybody needs a roof, right? And it's one of those things that unfortunately has to be, unfortunately, as a homeowner's mentality, right? But fortunate for you from a from a job security standpoint, they typically need to be replaced on you know what I mean? It's not like you build one and it's good forever. So there's some job security in that for sure as well. Where did that, obviously, I mean, I have to assume that hustle turned into kind of probably a very good standing within the community from a name standpoint, right? I mean, I would imagine you probably got a lot of referral business, and kind of built on that. Was there anything else as far as, hey, this really propelled my business and this really got me a lot of work, or was there any aha moment like that, or was it all just a hustle and the grind and building over time?
Yeah, it was that, but really, it for me, it was just doing the right thing. That's why I just kept doing the right thing and doing the right thing by the customer. And referrals are big, right? Customers most know the horror stories in the construction industry of bad things, and so at least the kind of customers that people should want to work for are the ones that really value the quality and protection that the right guy will bring to you, right? Or company. And so that really has been our marketing program, is just do a great job for the customer, and they're going to tell friends, and it just continues on that way.
Yeah. So going through your growth, what were some challenges you faced, or some things that you maybe didn't see coming, as you're growing, that maybe kind of caught you off guard a little bit, or challenged you from a business standpoint?
Well, for all contractors, do not chase the big jobs for low margins. I'll tell you that right now. I got myself into a tight spot, and can't remember what it was, but because I had grown up in the production industry when I had worked on the roof for those 4 years, I was working for a company that did high volume, high production work. And so then when I started my own business, it was primarily re-roofs and repairs, local, community stuff. But then the industry just blew up again, and a bunch of the builders searched me out because I had been a good contact for them and had done a good job when I was working for them at my other company. And they asked me, he said, "Hey, come on, throw your hat in the ring." And so I did. And so I got all, fancy and thought I was great getting all these big jobs. But you know what? You either got to dive in the pool and swim with the sharks, or you just stay on the sidelines. And my recommendation is for all is just stay on the sidelines. There's two or three big guys. Let them do all that. Let them knock each other out. There's not a track or large production roofing contractor that that is left from the day I started. And in fact, there's the ones that are today probably haven't even been here about 10 years. So that's my recommendation to you is if you're going to be a contractor, just do great work, charge the proper amount. Remember that you have value, right? Don't do it just for wages. You deserve to be paid for your time on the roof, and you also deserve to get paid for your time as the CEO and president, which you are, even if you have only one or two guys, while you're at home and putting the bids together and all this sort of stuff. So you got to remember to count for all that time, which is where I fell into that trap myself, 100%. But that's the thing that I probably learned. That's the best information that I can give to a guy that might want to start in his own.
Well, and I think part of that comes from how you operate in your mentality too, right? I mean, there's something there's a way to make money doing those production jobs and those high volume jobs, but you're definitely giving up some of those things that you value and you don't want to give up from a company standpoint, right? As far as how you treat your guys and the type of work that you do. And I mean, I live in South Orange County, right? I mean, right down the road from Ladera Ranch, and I feel like it's one of those areas where a lot of those builders maybe didn't value a lot of that stuff, and they're all being repiped 10, 12 years after being built. They're all having re-roofs a certain number of years. It's almost like one of those trucks can go in for a repipe and get 13 houses on a couple streets because they all need it done. So I think not to say that that's not a way to do business, but I think that doing it the way you're doing it, I think is why maybe it wasn't such, which is awesome too, right? I mean, that means that you value your company and the work that you do, and want to make sure that your name is put on something that's quality and that people enjoy coming to work for.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's a difference, and I guess I was just going to circle back because a lot of guys, we have if you ever read the Michael Gerber book, the what's it called? Something about an entrepreneur. They say we have an entrepreneurial seizure one day, a tradesman, and then all of a sudden he thinks he's a businessman, right? And so for me, it's usually, one guy, he's got two or three guys. For me, it was me and two guys. That's how we started the company. And so, I was tearing off and putting shingles on by day and then bidding jobs. Well, then run into the material house right after work to get stuff for tomorrow, and then estimating the jobs at night, and then just rinse and repeat. And so, a lot of times guys will kind of get themselves into financial problems because, and I learned this, myself, is that by not charging enough, not charging for that time when you were sitting at home, because that is valuable time. Any other company, needs to pay for that time. Now that we're 50 employees, and I have people putting estimates together, well, that costs the company money. So that is now part of the bid and part of how we stay in business. So that's a lesson that I learned.
Yeah, I think it's harder when you as the CEO. It may be harder when you as the CEO are doing the work, right? Because it's not money coming out of your pocket directly because you're not paying somebody to do those estimates. But yeah, like you said, I mean, your time is valued. Your time is worth something. And if you go back to that comparison to an attorney or a doctor, right? I mean, they're billing by the hour and they're billing by time, regardless of what they're doing for you. They may not be actually in a courtroom fighting for you, but if they're reading or drafting up something for you, they're charging for their time, and same kind of concept, right? But yeah, I think that's where, like you said, but it's hard, right? It's hard for somebody beginning to charge for that because they may think that, hey, this is gonna price me out of this job, or it's gonna bid me out of this job, but you get too far down, and that may be the case for a couple jobs, and you may want to kind of discount yourself for a few jobs to win a couple, but in the long run, you definitely need to make sure you're valuing your time and charging for it appropriately. I agree, and I love that mentality for sure.